Hello, my name's Kathleen. I'm one of the spirit operators. In this video, we're going to look at the 7 steps that will lead to making spiritual progress. These are personal things that you can do, that you can work on in order to grow, level up, whatever you want to call it, making spiritual progress. So I'll just hop right into it. So the first step is having a sincere wish to want to make spiritual progress, to want to be more spiritual, to become ultimately the holiest of holy beings. And we need to maintain that wish. It's not something you can say, oh, I wish for that to happen once and think, okay, I wished it, so I'll just get on with my life. No, you have to keep that wish in your heart as much as possible. Remind yourself every once in a while, if you fall off the track, come back, I wish to make real spiritual progress in my life. And we need to do this because it lets us know that we're serious about this, but it also lets the holy beings and others, hopefully benevolent people or entities, whatever you want to call them, that they will know that this is something we're working on, so that they will help us. The holiest of holy beings are constantly working to help us do this. But most people aren't aware of that. And by having this wish, you're then opening yourself up to receive the blessings that they're constantly sending down. So that's an important thing to do. And it's really the first step, because it's pretty easy to wish that. It doesn't take a lot of effort. So the thing is, with making spiritual progress, you have to work on it. You have to rely on yourself. Yes, others can guide you and teach you, but no one is going to save you other than you. And again, like I said, they can teach you, they can help you, show you what it is you need to do, but they can't do it for you, because this all comes down to your own mind. So you really need to do this for yourself. The second step is that we need to decrease the amount of negative karma, the negative behavior, negative actions. Karma, actions, those two words are interchangeable. So we need to reduce the negative actions we're engaging in, our negative behaviors. And how do we know if it's negative? Is we're harming others. Okay. Anytime we're causing harm is a negative action. I'm not saying, that you do all of these things. However, you have, if you haven't done it in this life, you've definitely done it in past lives. We've all engaged in the worst negative behavior possible in our past lives. It may be hard to grasp or want to come to terms with that, but it's the truth. So we need to reduce and then eventually eliminate, okay? So yeah, most of us are not going to be able to stop something, like cold turkey. So if you, there's a lot of negative actions that we don't engage in this life, right? And probably won't. But there are some that we do, and there are some people who constantly engage in negative actions. Because when you engage in negative actions, it's very easy to continue to do that. And the more you do it, the more you're apt to do it. So if you lie and you keep lying, you get to the point where you're lying all the time, because negativity, negative actions grow so easily. It's way easier to do negative actions than it is to do positive actions, especially nowadays in degenerate times. So we need to cut back. So if we find we engage in a negative action a lot, we need to try to pull it back. So can I go 5 minutes without doing it? Yay. Celebrate if you make it the 5 minutes, right? And then see if you can go 10 minutes. And just keep increasing it. And if you do the negative action, and when you realize, oh, I did that again, because a lot of times it's really automatic for us because our mind gets familiar with doing it. So if you find, oh no, crap, I've done a negative action. All right. First of all, fantastic that you realize, because that means you're making progress. Honestly, that means you're making spiritual progress, because you're realizing I'm engaging in negative actions. So thumbs up for that. And then just go, okay, I'll start again. And I'll try to go another 5 minutes without doing it. 10 minutes, however long you think you can handle without doing it, and just keep doing it. And hopefully the space between every time you engage in negative action becomes longer and longer. Okay? I mean, like, I'm not perfect. I'm still working on this. But it is something that we need to be working on. Because what we take with us into the future and into our future lives is all the behaviors we've engaged in. So how do we know that we have all this negative karma? And believe me, we have like a giant mountain of negative karma. Like if each negative karma was a little black stone, we have enough that it, like our mountain of negative karma is bigger than Mount Everest. It's huge. And it's because of all the negative actions we've done in all our previous lives. We've had countless previous lives. So we brought all of this with us. And so you might ask yourself, well, you know, I'm a fairly good person, so how can that be? I don't understand. How can I have this so much negative karma? Okay, well, do negative things happen to you? Do you have anything bad happen to you? Anything that upsets you? What about your neighborhood? What about the city or town, village you live in? Any bad things happening? Any bad things happening in your country? In the world? Because if there's anything negative, even if it's not happening to you directly, but you know of it, that proves you've got a mountain of negative karma, because that's what's ripening around you for your life experience, okay? So we all need to work on reducing the negative actions we engage in, because we don't want to make that mountain any bigger. So that leads us to the third step. And the third step is that we need to purify the negative karma, that mountain. Let's start destroying it and getting rid of it, right? I'm just pointing, like it's up behind my head. It's huge. So that's what my actions are. We need to start reducing that as much as possible. So we need to engage in purification practice, because when we do negative things, doing something positive doesn't erase the negative thing. Wouldn't it be great if it was that easy? So we have to purify, and the purification is actually 4 steps, and I will be teaching that in a future video. Okay, hopefully next week, week after maybe, fingers crossed. So that's something we'll be working on. No, it won't be next week, sorry. Anyway, sorry, I will do it soon. A video that goes through all 4 steps that you have to do to purify your negative karma. Because that mountain of negative karma, we don't know exactly what's in it. We know what's happening in and around us, in the world, in our lives. So we know that that negative karma has ripened on us, but we don't know what else is there. And if the conditions are right, we don't know what's going to happen. So anything negative that's piled up behind us is going to come and hit us in this life. So we really need to purify so we can minimize the bad things happening, because when negative things happen to us, again, we have a tendency to react negatively. And that just makes everything worse because we're just adding to that pile of that giant mountain of negativity that we have. So, yeah, that's something we need to work on, because the negative actions we engage in now cause us to have negative things happen to us in the future. Okay? Cause and effect. Everything we do comes back to us. All right? So we really have to be careful and take that step, because we really want to eliminate that. Because the less negative karma we're dealing with, the more we can get rid of, the easier it will be for us to make spiritual progress. Okay? So the fourth step is that we need to increase our positive actions, our positive karma. So we need to do more positive things. And that is basically helping others. Negative karma is basically harming others. Positive karma is basically helping others. Okay? So we need to be doing more of that and trying to increase that. I mean, we don't want to, give so much that we end up with absolutely nothing, because if we have absolutely nothing, we're just going to start engaging in negative actions again. So we want to, there has to be a balance there. But we want to be able to give. We want to be kind, okay? I'm just going to name a few things. Just wishing for everyone around you to be happy. Wishing for world peace. Wishing for real happiness for others. That's positive karma. And that doesn't cost a dime, right? Like giving, you can give other things other than money, right? You can give your time, effort, hold the door open for somebody. That's giving. Okay, so just try to be kind, try to engage in positive actions more and more, because we have that giant mountain of negative karma behind us. But sadly, every time we engage in a negative action, even a moment of anger, we destroy the positive karma that we've engaged in. So any positive actions that you've done can be destroyed by a moment of anger. Whoosh, gone. Sadly, right, it doesn't work in the reverse. Doing something positive doesn't get rid of that mountain of karma. We're stuck with it until we purify it. But anytime we engage in negative action, we destroy the positive ones. So the fifth step is that we need to dedicate the positive actions we're engaging in. And what that means is, if you've ever watched any of my meditation videos, we dedicate at the end. So you need to dedicate to benefit others. Okay? So you need to, once you've engaged in a positive action, so let's say you give to a charity, you can then say to yourself, it's almost like a little prayer, but you can say to yourself, I wish to dedicate all this positive action, the positive energy I've created, this positive action of giving, to benefit blah, 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 okay? To benefit others some way. You can benefit your friends, family, colleagues, benefit the planet, wanting world peace, something positive, but you need to benefit for others, okay? You need to dedicate it to others. So in a way, it's like giving your positive energy to benefit others. Now, you can include yourself in that, okay? So like if you, okay, I'll just use an example. I have fibromyalgia. So if I wanted, I could dedicate my positive energy to benefit everyone who has fibromyalgia, that they will be healed, that a cure will be found, or they'll be healed from their illness. Well, that will include me, but it doesn't exclude others, okay? But it is so important to have others. If you just dedicate for yourself, that's not dedicating, okay? Unless the ultimate goal is to benefit others. Like if you dedicate that you want all this positive energy to work towards you become the holiest of holy beings so that you can help everyone like they do, that's fine, okay? So we want to dedicate the merit that we accumulate from doing positive things. So try to do that as often as you can. If I do something, if I'm paying attention, like if I'm feeding the birds or something, or the squirrels, then I'll realize, okay, I need to dedicate this. At the end of the day, I'll dedicate in case I've missed things that I've done. So like before I go to bed, before I go to sleep, I'll dedicate all the positive actions I've done for the day, just to keep it safe. Because once we dedicate that positive action to help benefit others, it can't be destroyed by the negative actions we engage in anymore. We are protecting it, keeping it safe. Okay? So it's really important to do that. So the 6th step is to meditate on virtuous objects. Now, if you've never meditated before, the best way to start is actually to meditate on the breath. Now, that may not be a virtuous object, but the point of meditating on your breath is to learn to discipline your mind. You're training your mind. All of the stuff that we're working on, these 7 steps, is training our mind, because that's what goes with us into the future, into our future lives. All the negative and positive actions we've engaged in, so that mountain of negative karma, and then the little tiny pile of positive karma, because most of us haven't been dedicating, and it's been destroyed by all the negative things we do. So you have this little tiny pile of positive karma, giant mountain of negative karma. That's what goes with us into a future life. That's what we take with us. And so all of this is disciplining our mind, training our mind to become more holy, to make spiritual progress. Okay? So meditating, when you first start out, you meditate on the breath, because that's helping you to focus, concentrate, and discipline your mind. And then later on, when you're feeling comfortable with meditation, then you start doing different meditations that will have you focusing on a virtuous object. Because again, when we're engaging in positive actions, the more we do it, the more our mind becomes familiar with it. When we meditate on virtuous objects, on positive objects, again, we're making our mind familiar with that, so that in the future we're more likely to engage in these positive actions. We're more likely to have these virtuous ideals. And the less we engage in negative actions, the less we'll engage in them. So it's that familiarity of mind. Okay, so we want to make our minds familiar with doing these positive spiritual things to help us improve, so that in our future lives it will just be our nature to behave this way already. And it will be difficult, well, it'll be more difficult for us to do negative things if we've really been working on just engaging in positive things and making our mind familiar with doing virtuous things. Okay? If we engage in crap ton of negative things, that's what we're going to take with us into the future, and that's more likely the attitude we'll have in future lives, and it'll be really difficult for us to engage in positive actions. Okay, so we want to meditate. So we've got the first wish, making that sincere wish. The first step is making the sincere wish to want to make spiritual progress. The second step is to reduce that negative behavior that we have, so that we can improve our mind, improve our futures. Okay. Third step was to purify that negative stuff. And again, I'll make a video on how to do that. I can't fit that into this video. And then the fourth step is increasing our positive actions, right? Again, familiarity, what we're going to bring in the future. We want good things to happen to us in the future. We need to be doing good things now. Okay? We don't want bad things to happen to us in the future. We need to stop engaging in negative, bad behaviors. Right. So the fifth step. Fifth step is to dedicate that positive energy. Okay, to protect it. The sixth step is to meditate. So that we're meditating on virtue. Again, all of this, we're gonna improve our mind and improve our ability and improve our spiritual progress. Okay, so the seventh step is to make ourselves as pure as possible, and that's what we've been working on so far, right? The less negative, the more positive, the more pure of a person you're becoming. So more things that we need to work on to purify. We need to engage in moral discipline. It's really important. Again, being kind, having patience. We also need to be modest. We need to have humility. These are very important things so that you become a pure vessel. You need to make yourself as pure as possible. So something that, may upset people, but again, just work on it the best you can, okay? This is stop drinking alcohol. Stop taking any drugs that aren't medicine. Try to stop smoking, gambling, any of those things, okay? Because you want your body, mind to be as pure as possible. And again, work on these things gradually. You don't have to go cold turkey. You don't have to completely stop 100%. Just try to cut it down. Try to cut down anything negative. Try to make yourself as pure as possible. Because when we do that, it is much easier for us to make spiritual progress. Okay? And in my opinion, it's the only thing worth working on in this life. That should be the main goal of every person on this planet, is to make spiritual progress, is to try to learn to discipline your mind, try to engage in these things, because that's what you're taking with you into the future. So many people just waste their lives on worldly attainments, worldly goals, like getting rich or famous or something. Yeah, and when you're dead, that's gone. But if you've been working on these 7 steps, that goes with you into the future. That's something you can actually use, okay? It's not going to disappear. So you need to keep working on this. And again, like, how do we know this is true? Because look at all the negative stuff that happens in life. And then, there's positive things that happen too, because we've done positive things, okay? So we need to work on this and bring this forward with us. And a lot of times, people that are engaging in these worldly attainments, they're engaging in negative karma. They're harming others. The more rich you become, the less others have. Well, you're causing them harm, okay? And so the more you harm, guess what's going to happen to you in the future? So, yeah, it's going to roll back at you and just totally be negative. So personally, I just feel like the best thing we can do is to try to make spiritual progress. Like, that should be everyone's main goal in life, is to try to keep working on their spirituality, trying to level up, trying to get to be a better person, to improve your mind as much as possible. So, when you make the wish, it can't just be a one-time deal. Won't happen, but it's something you have to keep trying to work on. So, just start there. If you haven't started doing anything, start with making that wish that I want to make spiritual progress. I truly want my life to improve. I want things to get better for not just me, but for everybody around me in the future. And just keep working on that. Okay? So I hope that was clear. I hope it's been helpful. If you have any questions, any comments you want to make, please go ahead and put them in the comments below. You can always message us privately. Spirit operators at gmail.com. Sorry. And we're also have a well, we're also on Bluesky, so you could follow us there. And we have a website on NeoCities that you can join in there. There's a couple of blogs that we do, and yeah, other things. There's Easter egg on there. I might be adding another Easter egg soon. So yeah, that would be fantastic if you could join us there. I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you later. Bye.